I was preaching on the law of planning and I walked on stage without my microphone on. Every married couple that comes together is a marriage match made in hell because two sinners
are coming into
it.
The word divorce, we don't throw that around. The more times you have these threats.
Literally saying, I want to kill my marriage.
Yeah.
Welcome to Table Talk with Pastor Dan and Kelsey Smith. We're so glad you've pulled up a seat with us to the table today. At New Life Church, we exist to help people know God, find freedom, discover purpose, and make a difference. That's our heartbeat, and it's the foundation of everything we do. Table Talk is a place where we will dive deeper into God's Word and take a closer look at the weekend's message. Around here, we believe the best conversations happen at the table. This is where faith gets real, questions are welcomed, and truth meets everyday life.
Good morning. Welcome to Table Talk with myself and Pastor Dan. We're so excited that you're here with us this morning. We have some exciting things to bring up, right, Dan? You look
Let's
pumped.
talk about it.
You look pumped.
Hey, guys.
Stop. Don't. Just.
Pinch. She's not wearing green, everybody. Pinch.
Get off of me.
I'm wearing green.
The fact
We're filming on St. Patty's
We are
Day.
filming on St. Patty's Day. I just can't believe you just did that. That's going to take me a while to recover.
That's fine.
I hate that rule.
I
think
love
it's
it.
so stupid
I think it's
because I
fantastic.
never wear green. All right.
And I'm also holding a green can because it's Chow Lime. You're sponsored by the French La Croix.
I am. I'm French today.
I'm sponsored by Italian's best zest for life, San Pellegrino.
You love a good San Pellegrino. The zeros are my favorite. Peach. Anyways, here is your table talk question. This week, we talked about the law of planning.
Yep.
I want to know what your plan for your life was when you were a kid. What was like your dream?
Can I first say how funny it was that first service at 8:30 service, I was preaching on the law of planning and I walked on stage without my microphone on.
Planning fail.
And
then you announced that everyone could pick up the Easter cards as they left.
That was you.
I'm actually gonna finish talking. If you could not start that way today, that would be great. We good? Oh, don't do that. So it's so bad for the microphone. So you walked on stage, announced the Easter cards, and I was like, the staff texted me, where are the Easter cards? I was like, I forgot to plan to pick them up on Friday. So law of planning, we still mess up too.
I did not announce the Easter cards. The beat announced the Easter cards.
The beat. Anyways, we should move on because we have a lot to cover.
The law of planning.
What was your childhood plan for your life?
I was going to be a financial advisor.
As a kid, that's what you wanted to do?
So my family grew up, my mom was a teacher. Mm-hmm. And my dad was, for the first majority of our life, my dad was in, I'm trying to think of how to describe it. He would put together parts books for tractors. Yes. So one of the world's largest tractor factories was in my hometown. Matter of fact, the first ever steam-powered tractor was built in my hometown, created in my hometown. We should call it
a tractory.
It's called Tractor City.
Tractor factory, a tractory.
So, and now, like John Deere is based out of just real close to us in Iowa. But anyways, my dad lost his job because they sold the company and they shut down everything. And literally overnight, our town got cut in half. Like a town of 10,000 people got cut to 5,000. Well, my dad lost his job and my mom was a teacher and she became the only provider of our house. My dad ended up working for the post office. Periodically, he would do part-time jobs. He'd take work when he could get it. But during that time, he learned a lot about how do you handle your finances. Because we've shared this, like it's not how much you have, it's what you do with what you do have.
So you got passionate about that.
I mean, it changed my entire life. Like I didn't grow up with a lot of money. We were very blue collar, hardworking family. In rural Iowa. But my dad really learned how to handle money. Whether you have it or don't have it, you need to learn how to handle it. And so because of that experience, I was like, I want to take what my dad is learning and learn it for myself. but then also be able to pass that on to other people. And so that's what I actually did out of college.
Yep.
I was a financial advisor. I went to school for education. If I'm being honest, it was just to get a degree because I played football. Yay, college. Probably wouldn't have needed to go to college if it wasn't for football because I just didn't like school. But yeah, so that's what my plan was at an early age because of that experience.
Yeah. So interesting.
You wanted to be Britney Spears.
Can you not let me say anything of my own? I'm going to quit this morning.
No.
Yeah, you're going to do table talk by yourself.
No.
And just keep talking. My goal as a child, now that you ruined it, was to be Britney Spears. And I was going to say my explanation is going to be a lot shorter. I just thought she was cool.
Aren't we grateful that she didn't become Britney Spears?
Yeah.
Is your computer noise on?
That was not mine.
Something beeped.
Anyways. All right. So we are talking, obviously this weekend was about the law of planning, but what we thought would be really cool for this morning is to go back through the laws we've covered, kind of like how you started this week's message, and just give you practically what this looks like for our marriage. You know, how we imply the law of supremacy, the law of her power, the law of his power, what that looks like in our own marriage.
The Apostle Paul says, follow me as I follow Christ. And so as your pastors, we want to show and share with you how we live out these things. And we don't do it perfectly. And so we're going to share some practicals, some things that are a part of the laws that we bring into our marriage, and we bring back into our marriage. So these are things that mission drift can happen, vision drift can happen. And so we got to come back, plug the holes, and come back to God's design. Yeah. And so there's some things that we do to make sure we're applying these laws. Right. And then if we're not, we
got to come back to it. Yeah. So we'll probably take about 5 minutes for each law.
Let's go.
Because it's a lot of laws. The first one we started with on the first Sunday of loveology was the law of supremacy. And that was basically, if you are not putting God first in your marriage, it's going to be really tough to have a strong marriage. And the idea that we talked about and you even said this on Sunday, like if we are both chasing after Christ and putting him first, like we're going to meet on all things at some point because he's a God of order, not of chaos. Right. If we're chasing our own goals, like we're probably never going to meet up because we're different people.
Right.
So what does the law of supremacy look like in our marriage? Obviously, we attend church together as a family. We are in God's house. You know, the Bible, or I've seen a quote that says like, yeah, you can be married and not live in the same house and still be married. And how's your marriage going to look? It's the same thing. Like you can love God and just say like, well, I'm not a church person, but that's his house. Like he wants you in his house.
And one of the things I think is important that I shared most of the services this past weekend, I don't think I did in the third service, was like, you married a pastor. Like I was already a pastor before, we started dating.
Yeah.
So you obviously knew that was a huge part of my life, but we met because you were also devoted
we met in church.
To church. You were devoted to the apostles' teaching. You were devoted to going to church every single week.
Even for me, that was something that was instilled in me as a kid.
And I wouldn't have
rarely missed Sundays.
To be honest, I wouldn't have asked you out had I not seen that.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't have not have pursued you. You wouldn't have even been on my radar because I wasn't looking for people online. I wasn't looking for people at bars. I wasn't looking for people just in random spots.
Right.
I was looking for someone in the church.
Yeah. So we put God first and his house first at the beginning of every week.
Yep.
At least that's our goal.
Yep.
Then the next thing we do is we give him the first of our every day.
That's right.
So in the morning, we both wake up 6 a.m., go to the couch, get out our Bibles. We're having Bible time.
You're at 6 a.m. I'm hit
You're
or
either
miss.
4:45 or 7:30. It's so weird.
Normally, I'm an early guy. It's been like 4:30, 4:45 the last 2 days, but yeah.
Yeah, so we're sitting and we're actually not talking to each other. Like we're letting God speak to us through his word.
To him.
And talking to him.
Yep.
And so we get out our Bibles. We're both in different plans to read through the Bible in a year because mine has a journal and questions, and I like doing that. You're doing one with people. Ooh, I just spit. With people in the church, the Pastor Mark Driscoll one. But we're different, and so we may learn differently, and that doesn't mean we have to be in the same plan every day. But we're talking about, what did you read today? What did you learn? What did even yesterday I'm reading, and I'm like, I said, it makes me so mad that because of this one sin, Moses didn't get to go into the promised land, and yet all the other people got to go, and they had been so rebellious. And, and we're talking about that, and then you reminded me, like, he didn't get to go to that promised land, but he got to go to the promised land.
Right.
And then even in the New Testament, like, he shows up in the promised land with Jesus, the resurrected Jesus. And so even having those conversations with your spouse.
He appeared at the Mount of Transfiguration in front of the disciples.
Yes.
So
and God buried him.
Yes.
Like, I'm sorry. How cool is that? To have
God officiated his funeral.
Seriously, so cool. And so we're having those conversations. Our kids, they come up, they get hopefully sometimes our oldest daughter the most right now gets her Bible out. Mom, where are you at in the Bible? I want to be at the same place you are. We're having these conversations.
Ollie has started reading the children's storybook Bible,
He loves it. Yeah.
Kids storybook Bible.
And so the first of our week, the first of our day, the first of our income, we give God our tithe, our 10%.
Yep.
Back to his house faithfully, what belongs to him. And that's been a non-negotiable for our family since the beginning. And because of that, like, we don't just tithe when our budget allows it. We tithe because then the rest is going to be blessed. Then our house is going to be protected.
Yep.
We've, because we've set that, it's like the 10% is going here, and then God's going to bless the 90%. People say, I'd rather live on 90% blessed than 100% not blessed.
So we tithe, which is a tenth.
Yep.
We take 10% of our income, our gross income, because then we know we're giving God the absolute first. We're not writing the first to consumers' energy.
Yeah.
We're not writing it to taxes, to the government. We're not paying our Netflix bill or buying groceries. Like, our first is going to the Lord.
Yeah.
And so we set that up via recurring giving. We've had conversations again last week's podcast when we had David on here, who's leading our Kingdom Builders ministry. He said that he historically actually likes writing physical checks because it's an opportunity for him to worship God.
Yeah,
and literally have this moment where he's worshiping, being like, God, thank you for what you've given to me.
Yeah.
I'm returning this to you as you've commanded, and being obedient to it.
So cool. Yeah.
And so I think it is a worshipful moment that we shouldn't just callously go through, because God is ultimately our provider. It all belongs to him.
Yep.
And we show him that by bringing back to him as first. And the principle there is very clear all throughout Scripture. Again, people say, well, that was something that happened to law. The tithe predated the law. Abraham tithed to Melchizedek. It was the first encounter of it. That was before the law of Moses even came into the picture. And then Jesus obviously affirmed it later.
Yes, you should tithe, but also give offerings.
Exactly.
Above and beyond the tithe.
I just think God, that's the way that God always says, hey, I want you to take care of my bride as I'm always going to take care of your bride.
Yeah.
Like,
and we're not looking for a caveat to the word. We're not looking for a way to go gray.
Yep.
And just like, well, it said this here, but does it say this here? And all these things. It's just like, you know what? I've seen the blessings of it. There's nothing greater I would like to give to. I believe in the mission of the church. I would rather give to souls being in eternity than anything that's going to perish here.
Yep.
So, and I had to settle with that.
Yep.
Of I'm going to stop looking for ways around the word of God.
And we're going to go into this in just a minute in terms of servanthood, because that's the biggest thing is like a lot of what the Bible confronts is our own rebellion, and that's found in selfishness.
Right.
Right. And so when it comes to sinning, what is that? It's selfishness.
Yeah.
I want to do it my way.
I can do it better.
I can do it better. I know more. I know better. I want to get what I want. And no one had to be taught that. Like, you can
it just is inherent.
I didn't teach my son when he was 2 or 3 years old to not share.
Say mine,
or to, just have rough moments where he's throwing tantrums. Like, none of us were taught that. That was our sin nature. And so we need to have that changed in us. Well, one of the ways God does that for us is to teach us to serve. And so we serve other people.
Yep.
And so we do that in the context of the local church. Why? Because when when the Apostle Paul goes through all the lists of spiritual gifts that God gives us, what is that to do? He gives us spiritual gifts not to just build up our own houses, not to just build up our own kingdoms, not to just build up our own egos, not to just, hey, we're cool, we have gifts and talents and whatever. No, he specifically gave us spiritual gifts to do what? To build up his house.
And his church, yep.
And again, coming back to marriage, the church is known as the bride of Christ. Mm-hmm. So there's nothing that Jesus cares about more than his bride. Mm-hmm. And so we need to care for his bride, just like I'm called to care for my bride.
Yeah.
And so we come and we say, hey, I believe it was Joshua that says, as for me and my house, we are going to what? Serve the Lord. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to do that in a context. And what I love about that in our marriage is I saw you serving the Lord before I even started dating.
If you're looking for someone to date, look for someone serving the Lord in his house.
Yeah.
It's a great spot to start.
And likewise, like the reason that you kind of landed the plane on me being one that you wanted was leadership, was serving the Lord and not just thinking about, hey, I have talents or I have giftings that can be used out there, which by the way, you could have married a Christian guy in business. You could have married a Christian guy who is, plenty of your friends that you went to school with for music that love Jesus and are serving the Lord. Yep. You could have easily found a person like that. But when you were comparing and contrasting a guy you were dating in comparison to me, you've noticed very clearly
there was a big difference there.
There was a big difference there, and you knew at that point, this is a godly man. Yeah, who's putting God first.
Yeah. Yep. Going on to law of covenant.
I do want to say back. There's one more thing that we're going to touch on, and actually, it's this weekend's message. It's the final law. And I know I've said that many of them are the most important, but actually this is probably the most important.
Are you going to tell us what it is?
And I'm not going to tell you what it is. But
I can look in my notes.
It comes back to supremacy. It comes back to because here's the deal. When the Apostle Paul says, follow me as I follow Christ, the Apostle Paul also says, Christ in me, the hope of glory. So what we're after is in me as an individual and then us in a marriage is we're wanting to become more like Christ every single day.
Ooh, I just saw what it is.
The goal in our marriage, in our personal lives is, hey, a year from now, am I more like Jesus than I was last today. Year? Mm-hmm. And we can say without a shadow of a doubt that we've been married for 12 years, something. Almost going on 13.
Around
we'll
12,
figure it out. You do the math. Back. I mean,
what was it, 2014?
But I can promise you our marriage has gotten stronger and stronger every year.
Yeah.
We're not perfect, which we're going to share some of that in this podcast. We're not perfect. Again, we come back to the laws to come back to God's design. And we have things in our planning to get us to do that, especially when we are falling short.
Yeah. It's, hey, let's come back to the foundation. Yeah.
So, but I do want to say, tee up, you got to get your family to church this weekend.
It's a good one. I just checked.
Because this is the most important one.
Going out with a bang.
This is the most important law. They all matter, but it all hinges.
The bookends are the most important.
The first one and the last one.
Supremacy and can't tell you.
The next one.
All right, law of covenant. These are all going to kind of tag in together.
And we can go further. We can go a little faster through these. I know
I'm going to remember that you said
you
that.
You were flying fast.
You.
So
well, we got a lot to cover.
I know we do have a lot to cover. And we're going to talk about Islam, and we're going to talk about Iran, and we're going to talk about all sorts of crazy stuff happening in the world.
Yeah, we
today,
got a lot. So law of covenant. This means when we enter into a covenant marriage, it is not to be broken. And I think one of the biggest things.
What's the verse?
I don't know.
What God has joined together, let no man separate. Right?
Sometimes I don't know where
that came out of Genesis, and Jesus affirmed it.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
When the Pharisees came to Jesus, well, the law of Moses said that we could give a certificate of divorce for what? What do you say?
Right.
And he comes back to the original design.
What God has joined together.
What God has joined together, let no man separate, which means don't let your abuse, don't let your neglect. Don't let your laziness. Don't let you got to bring it. You got to have these things planning to bring it back to God's design so that he can redeem it.
Yep. I think one of the big things, and this is really practical, you've probably heard like never use the words always or never in a fight, how bad that can be. And so the same thing applies for this, like language matters a lot in our marriage.
Yep.
In the beginning of our marriage, when we were really figuring it out and we were fighting a lot, I would
always do that.
Well, not even always or never.
You never do this. It was both ways.
Right.
We both did it.
No, I'm not talking about that though. I'm saying like the word divorce.
Oh yeah.
Would get thrown out.
Yeah.
Or for probably the first 2 years of our marriage, that was a word we would throw out in our fights. So it would
I'm pretty sure the last one was actually that time where I like literally almost cast out a demon in you before Easter. You weren't possessed by a demon, but it was pretty bad. You share the story.
I'm gonna need your meds to kick in here soon. Otherwise,
I think that was the last time I heard it though.
Probably, yeah. I was not demon possessed. I would like to clarify. I was really struggling during Easter because Satan attacks when he knows that we're being faithful and that God's going to do something
We're
big.
on mission.
I was very attacked. I was not doing well, and I did not like you through that. But we worked it out.
I hugged you. I
prayed
held
over
you,
me. Yep.
Prayed for you.
But I think, so back to what I was saying, just remembering like a lot of the things that you say hold so much weight and you can't take them back. Like you can apologize, but those, like the power of life or death is in the tongue.
That's right.
And so are you speaking life into your marriage? Like, so leaving is not an option. We have to remind ourselves of that verbally when we're fighting. Like we're not leaving.
Right. Or
the word divorce is not in our vocabulary anymore. That Easter was 5 years ago. We haven't said it since. The word divorce, we don't throw that around. Like, all right, fine, we're just out. Because the more times you say that, the more times you have these threats, like,
and what you're doing
is
you're literally, so the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy.
Yep.
Jesus came to give life and life everlasting. What you're doing, you just said that life is in the power of the tongue, life and death. So you're literally, when you use those phrases, you're literally on Team Satan.
Right.
You're literally saying, I want to kill my marriage.
Yeah.
I want to destroy it. And yes, you have to work through hard things. Yes, you have to deal with some issues that you've brought in. You've both brought in brokenness in the marriage.
Yeah.
Your marriage, as I stated in the beginning of the series, every married couple that comes together is a marriage match made in hell. Why? Because two sinners
are coming into it.
And so that's why you have to be pursuing Jesus and allowing Jesus to change you into his likeness, because otherwise you will play Team Satan. So
how do we get on Team God?
Yes.
What are some words that we have in our house? You know what I've gotten really good at saying that does nothing to my pride? I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
We have both gotten really good. I'm sorry. Will you forgive me?
Right.
And
saying yes.
And then and then the other person extending that grace to say, yes, I don't know if I shared this on a podcast before, but the week that I was preaching on the law of her power, I was preparing the message, I came home and I was so grumpy. And Dan had finally gotten his hot tub that if you go to New Life Church, you know that Dan has really been wanting a hot tub. And Dan
I want to go get in it right now. It's cold.
Dan was to be clear, we will never film a podcast from the hot tub.
Why not?
Never. Weird.
I can put a shirt on.
So Dan was so excited to show me. Can you focus?
Yeah,
Dan was so excited to show me the hot tub. And I was in a terrible mood. He came home. He's like, can I show it to you? And I was like, no, I don't want to see it. At one point I said, it's your hot tub anyways. Why do I care? He had to go to the office and get on a trustee meeting. And while I was sitting at the dinner table by myself, I thought, man, what team are you playing on? This was so unkind, so hurtful to just throw out no, I don't care. I don't care about something you care about. This is stupid. Dan came back out.
And hot tub is pretty silly, but yes.
But leading into this, Dan came back out and I easily could have blown it off. It's not a big deal, right? It's a hot tub. You came back out and I said, I am so sorry that I acted that way. Will you please show me the hot tub? Can I have a redo? But what was mind blowing to me is you easily could have said, you had your chance. You're in a bad mood. No, I'm busy now. I just got off a call with the trustees. I'm tired. I don't want to show you. But instead, You said, thank you so much for the apology. Come on, I'd love to show you the hot tub. And it was done.
Yay.
You know, and so it's both parties.
That's right.
You have to be willing to apologize. You also have to be willing to forgive. Even coming back, another phrase you can use in your marriage for law of covenant is like, hey, what does the Bible say we should do here? Let's go back to his word.
And one of the phrases, again, going back to the very beginning, is the deception, right? You're come hell or high water. So you covenant, come hell or high water, and hell is going to come at you. Why? Because marriage is the mirror to God's relationship to his people.
Yeah.
It's the mirror of the Trinity. It's literally it being lived out. And so one of the phrases in the very beginning when Satan, attacked Eve was what? Did God really say that? Who said that? So what we come back to often is when one of us might be being deceived. Which, by the way, the only way you're going to know if someone is potentially being deceived is if you actually know the word of God.
Take it to the word. Yep.
And so what you can do is, did God really say that? You can say, you can come back to the word.
Yep.
Did he actually say that?
Yeah.
Or was the enemy manipulating, twisting,
right,
trying to divide, conquer, destroy? And so identity is a huge part of that. And so we just had that conversation like 2 days ago.
Yep.
Right? Where you were questioning some things that you were pouring your life into and some relationships and different things. And I had to remind you of who God created you to be, what God's called you to, what he says about you, what he thinks about you, the value he has in you, that he's proud of you. And the enemy wanted to do what? He wanted to tear you apart a little bit. And I had to reach you.
You chose to say who God says I am when you easily could have said, like, I told you so. But you chose, no, you know what? Like, in this moment, I'm going to remind my wife of who God says she is. I'm going to go back to the word instead of, I told you were wasting your time. Yeah, I told you this. Yeah. And that's like human nature.
I probably saw some things during a season that could have been a little different. I would have handled maybe a little bit different. But sometimes you have to learn your own lessons. Yeah. Right? And so we do have to have grace for the race, for each other and for the journey. But we have to remind each other of who God says we are, what he says about us. And that, again, comes back to becoming more like Jesus.
Right. Yeah. So we got 4 more laws left, and we're 30 minutes in, buddy. So we're going to.
People love this.
So law of priority, this one hit people hard.
Yeah.
Putting our spouse above. God is first, spouse is second. And you talked a lot about dynamics of in-laws. We have a whole podcast. So if you're listening, we don't really need to recover the entire law because if you're listening to this, go back to other podcasts. We covered every law in each podcast.
We'll give you the practical tips, but you can maybe share one example of some.
So when we were early on in marriage, I said my keyword was divorce or I'm leaving. And so my go-to whenever we would have a big fight, it was usually at night because our emotions are high, we're tired.
You were a teacher, so you worked through that. We weren't working together then, and so
our fights were at night. But what would I do? We'd get into a fight, and I would say, I'm leaving. And I would leave, and I would call up my brother-in-law, and I would say, hey, I know Jess is asleep, but I need to come to your house because Dan and I got in another fight. And so my brother-in-law, Chris, would move to the couch, and I would curl into bed with Jess. This probably happened 6, 7 times.
Don't get out of your own bed.
The really cool thing is, though, that's saying my spouse is second, my family that I was born into is first. They're always going to be my safe place. My spouse isn't safe, I'm going to them. And to be clear, there was no abuse. There was nothing. It was normal fights.
If there was any abuse, it was coming from her.
Stop it. There was not.
Hey, I can handle your slugging.
I'd never slugged you. I said the phrase, what, are you going to hit me? And you backed out of the door because you were standing in the doorway telling me to stay. You brought this on yourself.
You never hit me?
No.
Not punch me in the face.
I mean, we've wrestled. We'll get into that in a few laws. Wrestling. Get it? Anyways, can I finish my story?
Yes.
Okay. So I would always go to my sister's, and my dad stepped in, called my sister, and said, you're no longer allowing her to come stay at your house. She needs to work this out with Dan. He is her spouse. He comes first. and you need to stop enabling her.
Right.
And so it also, my sister just needed permission to like, hey, am I allowed to tell her no? She was probably really annoyed with it. She'd rather share a bed with her husband than with me.
Your brother-in-law.
Yeah, I was getting in the way of their marriage.
Go away is what he would say.
But my dad redirected us to the law of priority.
That's right.
Like, nope, your husband is number one. You are going to stay. You are going to work it out. You're not running home in the middle of the night anymore.
And we shared that it's very common, right, in the series. It's very common for a man to have more of the I'm gone.
Yeah.
Like he's leaving his father and mother. That was very true of my family. Like my family was very independent. I never moved back in with my parents ever once I left after high school. Not once.
Yeah.
I visited. That was it. So I was gone. Where for you, and is probably more common for women again, is a little more closeness.
Oh, I mean, we
not
live
as much
right next
living.
to my family.
Yeah. So I mean, that's very natural. And so go back to that message if you need more context. But some practical tips for this is, and this was, again, because of that dynamic, and I'm sure is very real for a lot of families and marriages, is, just going back to your family has more financial resources and whatnot. So you have a cottage up north. They've offered to take our families to spring breaks together.
They're very generous.
And so early on in our marriage, like we had these opportunities to go on family vacations with the entire family. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's so fun.
However,
cousins love it.
But however, when you work a job where you have limited vacation time, I had to fight for us having our own time.
Yeah.
And again, that's not a knock on the family and their generosity. No. But like husbands, you have to make sure, and husbands and wives, you need to make sure that you are coming back to the law of priority, which means
are we making sure this is first?
You need to make sure that your marriage comes first. So at least couples, I would say to you, at least once a year, you and your spouse need to get away, just the two of you.
Yeah.
So if you have kids, not with kids. If you have extended family, not extended family. Yeah. If you have friends, not with friends. Just the two of you.
Right.
To make sure that you are a priority. It doesn't have to be a long vacation. It doesn't have to be a week or 2 weeks. It could be 3 days.
Yeah, it could be a weekend.
It could be 1 or 2 overnights.
Yep.
But you need to make sure that happens. Why? Because kids leave, spouses need to stay. You got to train. So if we get out of the rhythm of having that personal time, then we got to get it back.
Right.
And so that's still a little bit of a tension.
Yeah, we have to come
with
back
us,
to how we've been doing
because
with date nights.
I will say to you, hey, I feel like we haven't connected the two of us in a while. We need to get away from each other. And it's harder for you to leave our kids.
Yeah.
And some of that is just financial for you. Some of that is the planning side of getting daycare or getting sitters, but it doesn't mean that we're planning.
Totally neglect
it doesn't mean we're going to not put in the work to make that priority exist.
Right.
Date nights is the same thing. Like if we get out of a rhythm of having a regular date night or date day, we've typically had a date day, which we've kind of gotten out of rhythm on. We need to have a conversation to come back to that.
Yeah.
Maybe share the 70% rule thing that we learned from a pastor. We haven't, from another pastor, we haven't applied as much of this yet.
Yep.
But I think it's a very valid thing for you to think through as a family.
I actually think this one, the way he explained it, this went more towards law of priority.
Yes.
No, law of supremacy, I mean. Because
it's both.
Their rule was they told their kids when they got really active in sports or in different things, they said, we will
musicals, whatever,
70% of your performances or games.
Yep.
Because the quickest way for you to tell your kids, like, you're above everything else, you're the center of our universe, is I'm going to be at everything. I'm going to skip church to be at this. I'm going to not spend time together to be at this. And so 70% communicates you're a very high priority, but there still are others.
Right.
And God is our number one priority.
Like, and pastors would say, and this is where things get twisted. Like pastors specifically will say something like, well, don't overemphasize the church. or your calling. And even in the past, it's been abused. Like, and there's any kind of abuse in this.
Oh, yeah.
But pastors might end up becoming a scenario where they only work, they only do the church, they're forcing their families to just, get in line with everything the churches do. That's not how we live.
No.
Right? But we have a calling from God. They don't have to be at
all 3 services
but
on a
we
Sunday.
have a calling from God. And just like you have a calling to work at Stryker or in business or to be a teacher, you have a calling from God that is going to probably require you to be there in a time period where you can't be at a game.
Right.
Or you can't be at a whatever. So I think it's the work-life balance thing is, in my opinion, it's a myth.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have balance. Like, we spend more time at work than we do with our kids while they're at school.
Yeah. The teachers are
when
with
we
them
come
right
home,
now.
we try to be very at home.
Yeah.
Right? When we go to the 70% of the activities or games, we're going to be present.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that we're going to be 100% all that. Like, that's the myth.
Yeah.
And so when you have that as a goal, I think you're setting your kids up for, and to some degree, idolatry.
Yeah.
That they are the God, they are the highest priority, and it's still not true.
Right.
And so I think 70% communicates, hey, you're still a very high priority, but you're not the top priority.
Yeah. Ready to take your law?
Law of his power. The big thing here is God wired male and female differently, masculinity and femininity. God has specifically called men to be leaders in their home for what? Protection, provision, and even for pastoring their home. We are to be the primary pastors of our home. So when it comes to a power that we have in our marriage, who is going to be who is God going to hold responsible for the godliness that's being lived out in our home? Me.
Yep.
Right. So this was evident in Adam and Eve's story, right?
You can go back and listen to it.
But Adam allowed his bride to be manipulated, The first sin of the Bible was Adam not being the protector of his wife when she was being attacked by evil. And so for me, it comes back to the law of supremacy. I'm going to make sure that we're in God's house every week. I'm going to make sure that you and I, we're in his word as much as possible.
Right.
We're not going to be perfect in it, but we're going to pursue him with everything we've got. I love this when we talked about, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Our kids are already doing it.
Right.
We haven't forced that. We haven't said, hey kids, you're going to Discovery, but they have learned that serving the Lord is a joy.
Yeah.
Like we don't hate what we do. We love what we do. We consider it a joy to be able to serve God and serve his people in the context of his bride.
Yeah.
And they see our enjoyment in it and they want that.
Yeah.
So our oldest, our 10-year-old literally serves as a teacher
in the preschool room. And she gets to be one of the teachers of her youngest brother.
Of the youngest of our
so we talked about that.
Yeah.
Give some more examples for how this plays out, though, with you and
I lead my wife past emotions. So again, coming back to what we already shared with scriptural truth. And so, the Bible says, and this is going to be confrontational to you because this is what the world says is confrontational, but it's really not scripturally. A woman is the weaker vessel. Right? God designed us specifically to be a protector. It doesn't mean that you don't have protective instincts.
Yeah.
100%.
It doesn't mean that my biceps are small because they're not.
Right. But a
little weak emotionally.
There's a reason why Satan went after Eve.
Yeah.
And not Adam. Adam was given the moral law.
Yeah.
Adam was given the moral authority. You need to protect this. And so I need to be able to lead you past emotions. If you've been in any relationship, and it doesn't mean that men can't be emotional. It doesn't mean that we don't have emotions.
Yeah.
We do. But when it comes to this, again, going back to that phrase, did God really say? Coming back to what does the word say?
Right.
Our superpower needs to be bringing the Bible, bringing the scripture back into speaking truth where there's manipulation. And again, the Bible says that the heart above all things, feelings, is deceitful above all else. So we can't let our wives, our homes, our own lives be manipulated by emotions. Right. We need to speak truth to it.
Yeah.
So we need to come back to the Holy Spirit and his written word are our source and our guide.
Yeah. Then we did the law of her power, right? So we did one weekend that you preached, law of his power. One weekend I preached, law of her power. What do we talk about? When Adam was created and God had said everything else was good. And then man was created and he was like, it's not good for man to be alone. He needs a what? A helper. And we talked about how the word helper there is actually the same word that God used to refer to himself when he was coming along the aid of Israel.
That's right.
And so.
And the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. And the Holy Spirit is called the helper. And so women, we have a big role.
That's right.
And we talked a lot about how do we play this out in our home? How do I be your helper? Mm-hmm. One of the biggest things is respect. Focusing on your strengths, speaking into those strengths and talking about how when you speak into those, when you focus on those strengths, you're going to see more of them. You're going to see it grow because a husband hears that and he's like, oh yeah, yeah, I'm going to keep growing that muscle. Yep. I'm going to keep getting better. Allowing him to be the spiritual leader of our house. And women say all the time, well, what if he's not? Well, still leave a spot for him. Mm-hmm. Still let him come into that when he's ready. Pray for him.
Yep. And speak life into that. Not criticism. I think that's important. Note. Oh, well, I was just going to say you shared beautifully in your message in this context of like speak into the
gifts,
what God sees in him and speak into what he is already doing that emulates godliness. Try to find that. Yeah. And keep fanning that flame.
To the man that God has for him to become, not nag the one that you think is less than.
That's right.
And so speaking life, hey, Dan, you use the phrase all the time, like, if my wife tells me I'm going to go be a dragon slayer for the day, I'm going to go be a dragon slayer. And
the scriptural context for that is Satan is known as the great dragon. Right. So, I mean,
there is context.
I'm literally fighting a spiritual battle. Yeah. I am called, and we all are as Christians, but specifically as a leader, right, in the church, as a pastor, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to pastor you past your own sin as I'm leading my own life. Mm-hmm. I'm also helping to confront evil, right, in a broken, dark world with scripture. Mm-hmm. And so I literally, when we say that, it is an actual calling.
Yeah.
Like I am called to pastor people, but I'm also called to defeat evil.
But for wives who aren't talking to their husbands that are pastors.
Yes.
You guys are still that.
You're still fighting that battle.
Fighting that battle.
That's right.
But also like just speaking into the gifts, reminding him like, hey, I love when you do this. You are such a good father to this house. Our kids feel so special and seen by you. What different things, that a woman can, so ask God. Something I've had to come back to when I'm in a really negative mindset and when I notice myself, wow, I'm really just looking at the qualities that I don't love right now. And it's usually at the same time of the month that I'm doing that. And so I have to then ask God.
Men, tip, marriage hack.
Don't poke the bear.
Don't poke that bear. Yeah. Don't say anything about that. You may don't acknowledge it, basically. Yep. You know it's real, but it's not helpful.
So what I will do when I'm in those seasons is I will say, God, show me and remind me the man that you created Dan to be. Mm-hmm. Show me his strengths. Bring them to my mind. And God's faithful. He doesn't want your marriage to fail. He doesn't want you to live in negativity towards your spouse. And if you ask him that with an open heart to then receive, every single time, he's been so faithful. But I have to come to him first and just say, God, redirect my thinking.
To be real and raw for a second, she actually is very gifted at speaking life into people. Mm-hmm. Very gifted. And we've shared this before. You talked about this right,
in the message.
That she's very gifted in this. And for a season, it was like, how come I don't ever get that? But the irony of that is she's very strong in that area of speaking to the positive nature of things, seeing the best when we could easily see the worst. I'm wired the complete opposite. Yeah. I'm wired as an athlete where I'm constantly criticizing myself. I'm constantly going, how can I get better? How can I work harder? And I can come, my staff probably is like, yes, we feel that all the time. Yeah. Like I come with a critical eye to how can I make things better all the time.
So we both had to grow.
And so I have to grow in that. Like I have to be able to see, hey, you're bringing more of the problems or highlighting the weaknesses rather than saying, man, you crushed it, man. You were great at that. You did awesome, man. I love when I saw that. Like, because a good coach, right?
Will also do that.
Will also do that.
Yep.
And so those are growth edges for both of us.
Yeah. I'm going to take on some of this next one because I think you've talked about this one a lot. Probably because it's a man's favorite law.
Do it. Kelsey, do it.
I just think this is overused now, but Dan still loves it.
This is going to be a cultural phenomenon. We're going to change the tide.
It's not. Other people
Changing
have to
the tide.
Decide that. Law of pleasure. So, we talked about like actually serving each other sexually. This is a law in the Bible. Be fruitful and multiply. Give your wife.
Fulfill your marital duties.
Fulfill your marital duties. Give your body over to your spouse. And guys, we are still working on this. Like, we do not have this perfectly. However, we did have an amazing counselor. Yeah. And I would say everyone should have a Christian counselor. If you have a gym membership, you should also have a counselor.
Or good, godly people around you that have heard these things that can help you.
And what he taught us was you can't say no twice. So you can rain check if Dan's coming to me and he's saying, hey, I would like to do that tonight. And I am maybe sick. I have a headache. I'm like, you know what? Tonight is not a great night, or I'm really tired. I had this day. Can we rain check for tomorrow? But our counselor told us and then you know what? As the one who said no, you need to come back to the rain check. Don't make your spouse keep asking like, hey, you promised today.
There is no back-to-back rain check.
Right. That's
the rule. The rule was
not twice.
You can rain check, but you can't do it twice.
Right. And
rain check with an appointment, I think is what he said.
Yeah, there's a plan.
Yeah.
But then the spouse who rain checked actually needs to be the one who circles back. Like, hey, today's the day. Because you don't want Dan to feel like he's always the one pursuing me, or me to feel like the one I'm always asking, and then that person's always rain checking. You can't cancel the plans twice.
That's right.
And what I loved is like you were very clear in this message of, asking the question, like, you need to ask your spouse, like, how am I doing in this area? Because Satan will cause a lot of fights in marriage about sex and about money. And so we need to be talking about this. Like, hey, do you feel fulfilled? Do you feel like I want you? Do you feel like I'm pursuing you? But then also, like, are you laughing together? Are you enjoying each other's company? You said this week, like, you should actually ask your kids, hey, how do you think our marriage is? What do you love about our marriage? What do you want to have that's like our marriage in your future? Where do you feel like we're really not doing well? That's having a marriage review.
That's right.
Regularly.
Yep.
And we'll do that at date night.
Yep.
At least twice a year, we'll sit down at date night and be like, hey, how have I been doing in our marriage
We don't do it every time.
No.
But we do it frequently. Where we do review and we give feedback and we hear how do we think we're doing.
Yeah.
And that's consistently just getting to know each other and learning how to serve each other and how to be the best for each other.
Yeah.
And so hopefully you guys see that we laugh a lot. We are real a lot. We talk through things a lot. And we've said, like, we've gotten better and better and better at this year after year after year. It's still not perfect. We still have to come back to these things.
All of these laws we have to come back to. How are we doing? Where are we? Which one are we missing the mark in? Usually there's a few that it's like, this one's not as strong. We've been doing good on this one.
But if you don't make a plan, you will plan to fail.
Yep.
And so you have to know God's design. And when you get off of it, you need to come back to it.
Yep. And I have no idea how now we tag into the next section. So we're gonna,
there's a lot happening in the world today, and we want to bring in some Christian worldview. We want to be able to see things through the lens of what Christians should see things as scripturally. We live in an era of a lot of, again, it's not new, but I shared this weekend where the Bible says that we'll call evil good and good evil. There's a lot of manipulation. There's a lot of propaganda. There's a lot of, quite honestly, stuff shared that's created by AI and what's real.
What is real?
What's going on. And so I want to be able to look at some things that you might see on social media or that you might see posted on the internet and talk through some things just in current contexts of the world we live in, because we want to make sure that you're equipped to see these things through a Christian, biblical lens.
Yeah.
So we're going to show you some clips. We're going to show you some videos.
Let's do it.
We're going to go into it. So yeah.
You want to start with the first video?
Right.
Probably seen this, the before and after photos from Iran, Afghanistan, or elsewhere. Uncovered women wearing Western clothing then and wearing hijabs and burqas now. These pictures are being presented as evidence of freedom lost, but that's not the whole truth. For example, this photo, it was taken in Iran before the Islamic Revolution in 1979. But so was this one. In Afghanistan, these photos of uncovered women are from the 60s, long before the rise of the Taliban. But these ones, taken between 62 and 1980, were also taken before the Taliban rule.
So just real quick, one thing that I want to hit on this video is, there's kind of two things happening here. One is it's sharing some pretty clear realities that we're gonna see very clearly of oppressive regime that force things to happen.
Yeah.
But it's also important to know that not every person is in complete agreement with each other on what happened. So for instance, even in the Christian world today, like you've got differing viewpoints, on how to dress, or like if you go to a different church, you could have people on a Sunday morning dressed in suits and ties.
Yep.
You have people that come here and they're, you could have people in suits and ties. You could have people in jackets,
suits and ties, and
you
pajamas.
could have people in that. I'm sure that happens.
It does.
But you could also go to a cowboy church in the middle of rural Texas where people are all wearing cowboy hats or whatever. And so it's important to know that like there are differing viewpoints, different parts of Christianity, or even different parts of a nation where people feel different way or think differently. But that doesn't make also some of the truths irrelevant. So for instance, like when you do see that there is some things that are forced on women, like when you look at the stats of how many Iranian women were allowed to vote or were allowed to go have an education, or even the statistics on Iranian women getting an education within the regime versus getting an actual job after getting an education.
Yeah.
Like those things drastically changed from before 1979 to after 79 when the IRGC took over. And so I just want to share some of those things out front of like, yes, some of the overemphasis on, hey, this is what every woman is dressed like is a little bit exaggerated,
true,
but it doesn't mean that it wasn't,
that it's irrelevant.
It wasn't happening, right? You can go on.
And show women dressed conservatively. All this to say, what the streets in Iran and Afghanistan actually looked like back then, it was far more varied than what the before and after posts make it look like. The before photos usually circulated mostly show educated women living in bigger cities where they enjoyed more social freedoms. These, for example, are university students in Tehran in the 70s. And this is how Iran's Empress Farah Pahlavi dressed in the late 50s and 60s. And this is Gugush, Iran's most famous pop star who became huge in the 60s. But step outside the circles of the urban, the educated, and the...
I just want to know, are you going to go look up Gugush and see if she's the Britney Spears
I'm not.
of Iran?
Very pretty.
And find out what kind of singer she was. No. And if it's even findable. Like
it may not be. Well, I don't know. They have the picture circulating. So was that all you were going to say from that?
Well, I was also thinking like the fact, like just this is the irony of it. I saw a news clip of the president of Iran right now, who is the only person in leadership that's publicly being viewed and sharing things publicly, was being interviewed by someone yesterday. And they were like, hey, how come you can actually share these things in public and you have internet access to do this Zoom video interview with me, but nobody else in the country can?
Yeah. And
he's like, well, because I'm the spokesperson. Well, no, you literally are trying to keep everyone else from being able to share anything. Yes. Yeah. Go on. Go ahead.
Powerful, and the picture changes. For many Iranian women, traditional Islamic clothing never disappeared. In Afghanistan, it was a similar story. You could see women at universities and offices without hijabs up until the early 90s. But outside of the urban, educated middle class, conservative traditions remained strong. So in both countries, many women covered themselves also back then, not because they had to, but because that was the norm in their mostly rural, culturally conservative communities. Both Iran before the revolution and Afghanistan before the Taliban came to power in 96 were deeply divided societies. In Iran, modernization was driven from above, led by the elites rather than reflecting the popular will of the people. For example, the Shah in Iran actually banned the hijab in the 30s. The ban was lifted by 1941, but the cultural divisions deepened. By the 70s, society was hugely divided. Some embraced Western fashion, others saw it as an attack on their identity and traditions. And in Afghanistan, there were no actual laws governing women's appearances until the Taliban came to power in 1996. But there were deep cultural divisions, especially between the capital and rural areas. Or take the communist era in Afghanistan, which began in late 70s. The Mujahideen, Islamist rebels who operated largely from rural and mountainous regions, framed unveiling as anti-Islamic. So, the real contrast in these before and after photos is about much more than how people were dressed. It was about freedom to choose. Back then, wearing a hijab or not wearing one was largely a choice. Now, for millions, it's the law.
Yeah, so freedom to choose.
Yeah, freedom to choose.
And here's the deal. God created humanity that exists all the nations of the world, in his image with dignity and freedom, Genesis 1:27, and oppressive systems like the IRGC, that force conformity and Taliban, and there's so many more, Hezbollah. They suppress individual expression. Often they reflect spiritual bondage rather than godly order. So here's a reality from a Christian worldview also. Like, we would teach people that modesty in dress is good.
Right.
In this series, we've been talking about loveology. We've been talking about how husband and wives, you should consider how you look, what you wear, what you look like, and you're considering it for who?
Your spouse.
For your spouse and nobody else. And so, but we typically have this mindset of like, hey, well, I want to look my best for everybody.
Yeah.
And then we get into the comparison game on social media.
But you were saying, like, in the church, we teach modesty, but it's not, hey, everyone has to wear a skirt and a turtleneck. It's modesty as to how you choose what you choose to wear.
Yep.
You know, it's not all the same thing. You can wear jeans.
I was going to say we have a dress code for our dream team, and it changes kind of in season, and it depends on the situation or the whatever. But people walking into our church, they can wear whatever they want. Now, if they weren't wearing clothes, we would have an issue.
Problem. Yeah.
You know, or if there was something that was very distracting, we would have a conversation.
Dancing like David.
But that's a huge part of our culture. Like if you're on stage, so if you're a worship leader or whatever, we do everything we can to eliminate distractions or to do something that puts more emphasis or attention on ourselves rather than God. And so I've often said, like, and this is probably a weird example, but I'm just going to share it for you. Like, one of the things that we've had as a dress code for our staff or for our worship team is I don't want open-toed shoes on stage.
Why? Because the stage is right here.
Like at eye level.
No one wants their dogs
I don't want to see. I don't want to see feet right in front of me.
At youth this weekend.
You know, and some could say, well, Moses approached the burning bush and he was told to take off his shoes because he was the presence of the Lord. Wonderful.
Right.
Great. Like,
it's about the freedom to choose.
But at the end of the day, it is about freedom to choose. And so the Bible warns against false ideologies that enslave people. So when you're starting to say, hey, every woman has to dress like this, everyone has to behave like this. Galatians 5:1 says, remembering freer times remind us to pray for deliverance from tyranny. What is that? Right? We don't want the Iranian people to live under tyranny. This also comes back to freedom of religion. Like, we know because we are Christians trying to advance the gospel of Jesus Christ, which honestly is a gospel of invitation. Come and live, not convert or die. Right. Which is what the IRGC says. Right. What does that mean? They don't have the ability to literally worship Jesus in Iran.
They're not allowed to.
Because of that regime.
Right.
Otherwise, they would be imprisoned, enslaved, or even killed because of that belief system. And that's not okay. right?
Right.
We have the freedom of religion here.
Mm-hmm.
We have the freedom to be able to worship freely as long as you are not trying to kill someone or take someone out for it.
Yeah.
So just to begin with that, let's show the second video of something that comes out of the Iranian regime that people need to be aware of.
We support Hezbollah here. Say it loud and say
We
it
support
clear.
Hezbollah here.
We support Hezbollah here. Say it loud, say it clear. We support Hamas here.
You can pause it.
Hamas. We
Y'all, this is literally in New York City last week.
Yep.
Protests in New York City where they were chanting death to America. They were saying in that video right there, say it loud, say it clear, we support Hezbollah here, which is literally a group of Islamic extremists that call for the death of Israel, for the death of Israelites, death to America. And they're chanting in Farsi often that Israelis eat babies. Like this is in our streets.
Yeah.
This is literally
in New York City.
And here's the deal. You could not protest in Iran if you disagreed with a regime that is coming after Christians. You couldn't protest. As a matter of fact, they eliminated all of the internet. The president can get on and share his own version, but you can't protest or say anything against them, or you'd be imprisoned or killed or tortured. Like you can't do it. So literally we have in our country the ability to say those things because of freedom of what?
Of speech.
Yep. Freedom, the right to assemble.
Right. Yeah.
Right. You have the freedom to say these crazy things, but this shows that what the IRGC, the regime in Iran, what they've been saying for decades now has gone into Hezbollah, has gone into ISIS, has gone into Hamas. These ideologies have literally been imported now onto the U.S. streets, and it's been funded. Here's the kicker. It's been funded by the government in Iran.
It's crazy.
And it's happening in New York City right now. So let me ask you this question. Why can't we have open borders? Why should we be enforcing immigration laws?
Yep.
Why should we as a nation be enforcing naturalization laws, which is people wanting to become naturalized citizens, which means we're actually vetting them. What do they believe? Are they people that are saying death to America? And if they are, they shouldn't be here. Period.
Yeah.
Like that is protecting the citizens of our country.
Of the country, yeah.
And so when we talk about enforcement of immigration naturalization laws, that is a good thing. That is a godly thing.
Yep.
That is not an evil thing. In fact, God created nations to bear the sword to protect innocent people from evil.
And the Christian worldview, even around this is Matthew 5:21, 22. What are we called to do? We're called to love our enemies.
Yep.
And these chants are revealing spiritual darkness.
Believe them for what they say. What they're saying, believe it, what they say.
Right. And so, but what are we as Christians to do? We counter it with prayer and truth.
That's right.
We don't riot. We don't, we pray and we share truth, not just reciprocal hate.
And here's an invitation coming back to the gospel that Jesus came to give his life as a ransom for all people.
Yep.
His invitation is come and live, and not just live now, but live eternally.
Right.
The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. He has come to give life and life abundantly. And it's an invitation for every single person.
Right.
Well, when you are the head of a regime that says convert or die, or they're suppressing alternative viewpoints or religions, there's no freedom there. They will come at Christians and say, convert or die. And they're doing it. They're literally doing it. They'll arrest you. They will kill you. this is not freedom. This is oppression.
No.
This is authoritarian regimes.
Right.
But here's the reality. There are people coming to Christ in Iran like you've never seen it. And these people are trying to keep them from it. To some people, they'd say, well, the government took the opportunity away from the regime to receive Christ. That's not true.
Yeah.
They've had the Bible in Farsi. They've had the ability to repent. They have had the ability to see life and not death, and not death to America, not death to Israel, not death to their own people.
Yeah.
And they had the opportunity to repent and find life, receive life, but they ended up seeing justice.
Yep.
Is what they had.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Should we go to the third?
It is right to rebel. It is right to rebel. USA, go to hell. USA, go to hell. And it is right to rebel. It is right to rebel.
Pause. Literally chanting,
USA,
USA, go to hell.
Mm-hmm. In New York City.
And we want these people in our country.
Mm-hmm.
We want these people to tear us apart. Really?
Yeah.
And they have the right to speak that in the United States, where in Iran you couldn't.
Right.
They wouldn't be able to say any of those things
Yep.
publicly.
Yeah. And as Christians, I think it's really important to be aware of the principalities and the powers of darkness. You know, this is a spiritual war.
Yep.
And, you know, I often think, like, if I could see with my own eyes the battle going on in the spiritual, like, I would probably be mind blown, you know? And so being aware of what that is, and it's testing us
That's right.
to make sure that we stand firm in the gospel of peace.
That's right.
You know, it's never convert or die. Come and live.
That's right.
So are we standing firm in that?
That's right.
Yep.
You can go to the next one, the next video.
To rebel! It is right to rebel! Israel, go to hell! Israel, go to hell! There is only one solution! There is only one solution! Intifada revolution!
We can pause. I mean, this is
More,
of the same. This was
but with a vigil.
This was actually before. This is a vigil for Ali Khamenei, which was the Ayatollah who got taken out in the original strikes. And so these people are on the streets of New York City again.
Yeah.
And in Washington Square Park. Yep. And it's literally the same imagery of like a Malcolm X.
Yeah.
Or even the George Floyd imagery of solidarity with wrongdoer, and promoting this idea of lawlessness, and rebellion. They have, and it's just again, they're chanting death to America.
Right. And you know, Christians, we're called to solidarity with the oppressed, care for the orphans and the widows. Yeah, honoring and like we said, not all people that are in Iran are bad.
Nope.
Like, we are literally trying to care for the oppressed
They can't
in
even
Iran.
speak.
They can't speak. They have no voice. That's what we're called to do. So honoring a tyrant who is persecuting believers worldwide completely contradicts the command to honor authorities under God while rejecting evil.
And Christians are to be a voice for the voiceless.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so they're literally, their voice is being, and has been taken away for decades. And they've been more oppressed than people are being led on to.
Yeah.
Like, literally, people who are Iranian are celebrating in the streets. They're dancing in the streets.
Thanking the USA.
But again, you have two different types of people. You have people that have been brainwashed into extremism of death, of destruction. Whose team do you think that's playing onto?
Right.
Team Satan, right? The thief, the enemy, Satan, comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Jesus comes to give life and life abundantly. So you have to believe them at their word.
Right.
This is who they are because of what they are saying, not because of what we're saying, but because of what they're saying.
Yep.
So Christians, we're called to genuine solidarity with oppressed peoples.
Yeah.
Right? And
I
so
said that.
the Iranian people have been oppressed people under this regime. And by the way, we Christians have been, right? We are fighting for Christians to flourish in every nation on the planet. But we've been watching Christian, what do you call it? I want to say genocides, but it's persecutions all over the world, in Africa, here. I mean, it's coming at us even in our own cities, right? It's attack on Israel. It's attack on Jewish people. Anti-Semitism is rising. I mean, I was proud of our own governor who I don't vote with ever, literally came out and said this anti-Semitism has to stop.
It has to, yeah. Yep.
And the media was literally even leveraging propaganda again into the news cycles of trying to get at, well, this person who rammed their car into this Jewish synagogue, like he has a family and then toxic empathy.
Yep.
Right? No, just call evil evil.
Right.
And good good. Right? So we need to be able to do that scripturally. We need to be able to see things more clearly. So we're not going to honor a tyrant, Khamenei, the Ayatollah, in this regime who has clearly been persecuting believers, who has been persecuting its own people. And we're not going to honor that.
Right.
We're going to fight for that to change. You can show the next video.
Death to America. Not as a meme, not as a joke, a slogan exported from Tehran and now being posted and normalized here on American college campuses. The Islamic Republic isn't complicated. It imprisons women, executes dissidents, crushes protests with bullets, and it built its legitimacy on revolutionary hatred of the West and of Israel. In January, protests erupted across Iran. The regime's crackdown may have left more than 40,000 people dead in just 2 days. Body bags ran out. Ice cream trucks and meat trucks became makeshift morgues, and the internet was shut down to conceal it all. This is a Handmaid's Tale regime, a literal theocracy. It enforces religious law with prisons and gallows. And yet, watch what happens when Israel enters the frame. Cenk Uyghur praised the Ayatollah, saying he died on his own 2 feet instead of kneeling to Israel. That, he said, took courage. Hassan Piker argued the region would actually be more stable if Iran had nukes right now. The Democratic Socialists of America condemned what they called imperialist war and said they stand with the Iranian people. The same Iranian people who have been risking their lives in the streets protesting the Islamic Republic. Jason Hickel called it a war to subjugate the global South and annihilate the resistance. Notice the pattern. The outrage is directed at Washington, at Israel, at Western imperialism. The regime that may have just slaughtered tens of thousands, contextualized.
Pause.
And on the right,
so this is what's happening. So the Bible warns in 1 Thessalonians that we need to be aware of deceptive schemes, things to mislead.
Yeah.
And literally, I just want to call out the Democratic Party right now. The Democratic leadership. Again, not every Democrat might believe this way. But right now, you're literally seeing them come against a righteous action to eliminate evil. And by the way, they've done it in so for instance, the Democratic Party voted against, Isaac, can you help me with this for a second? They voted against the War Powers Act or against the actions of the Trump administration, right? Well, just what was the vote?
There were only 4 Democrats that voted.
I think it was the War Powers Act. So what I was going to bring up there is they're literally saying, hey, you don't have the right to do it. It's an illegal war, blah, 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 blah. Literally the last time that Congress declared war was when? World War II.
Yeah.
And every president since World War II
has been the one to call it.
Has taken military action in countries around the world without congressional approval.
Yep.
And yet the Democrats are now screaming, no, you need Congress.
Since when?
Even a couple of Republicans have said, no, you need Congress. And so, I mean, Obama himself, we're going to talk about this in just a second from another video. Obama himself bombed 8 different countries without congressional approval. Right? Because you have to have, commander-in-chief has to have the right to defend American people and American liberties and to be able to enter the public sphere.
Right.
Romans 13 says the government is given the obligation to protect innocent from evil, right? And it doesn't declare what government. So even governments themselves hold each other accountable, right? Different nations, righteous nations, ungodly nations, hold each other accountable. This is the way God designed it for righteousness' sake.
Right.
But yes, you are going to have evil persuasion within these nations, but they are to hold each other accountable in godliness.
I mean, like what you said, we're twisting what is evil and what is good.
That's
it's
right.
like the same. There are Islamic people that are desperate for freedom.
Yes.
And yet, but then we're twisting it here. You know, the Democratic Party is twisting it like, you can't do that. We stand with Iran. Well, what part of Iran are you standing with?
Right.
The terrorists.
The people?
Because the people are celebrating.
40,000 protesters that went out. That died at the hands of the regime, the police state, the authoritarian dictatorship, the cleric.
Yeah.
They literally, they were protesting the regime. That's happening in America. Protests are happening all over the nation.
Yeah.
Guess who's not dying? Right?
Right. Isaac just showed us against the vote for the War Powers Act was 53 no, 47 yes. To stop the war.
47 people voted to stop the war, and all of them were blue.
And all of them were Democrats.
One Republican.
One Republican. Tom Massey? Don't know who it was.
Crazy.
So you just got to understand something. Like in this particular thing, again, coming back to the Christian worldview, as Christians, one, the Bible, when it says do not murder, is referring to an individual taking someone's life. In Romans 13, the Bible says that governments are to bear the sword, right? On behalf of protecting innocent people from evil.
So this is not anti-biblical.
This is not anti-Bible. No. This is what governments are called to do.
Yeah.
Now, there needs to be checks and balances. So for instance, if it is found, if it is found that our military somehow, you know, one of the things that came out was maybe there was a bomb that hit a school or something like that, which is being very pushed by the left. If that's found to be true, there needs to be accountability. Right?
The same thing. Iran was a government that wasn't having checks and balances.
And mistakes are going to happen in war. There are going to be accidental casualties. I mean, that's already happened, right?
Right.
But it doesn't mean that the war being waged wasn't a righteous thing to happen, to remove evil, to protect innocent lives.
Yeah.
Why? For freedom.
For freedom.
And not and freedom for us, but also freedom for the Iranian people.
Right.
Let's go to the next video.
Last week, the House of Representatives voted down a bill to stop the war in Iran. Now, Trump would have vetoed it, but it was important symbolically. 4 Democrats voted in favor of allowing Trump and Pete Hegseth to continue this regime change war of choice in Iran, which is just insane to me.
If you vote for the funding of this war, you should be primaried. I don't want you in the Democratic Party. And I'm not trying to be, obtuse or stubborn, but this is a threshold issue. Like, I would like to have a big tent on this party. I think there should be people with different ideas of how to get healthcare, different ideas of taxation. To me, this is not a left-center issue. This is a right and wrong issue. Morally, what do we stand for as Democrats? If you as a Democrat can't say that I'm against a war and I'm not going to fund a war that is being launched by an authoritarian president illegally with no rational basis that is explained to the American people that has already unleashed these consequences, if you can't stand against that, you don't stand for it. Okay?
So This gentleman's name is Ben Rhodes, I believe. Is that correct?
That's what you have in our
Ben
notes.
Rhodes. Ben Rhodes was the national security advisor for President Obama. And he is literally saying that you should oppose this war. You should oppose these actions. Ben Rhodes, who was the national security advisor for President Obama. Okay.
Yeah.
Here are military actions that President Obama took without congressional approval for funding. He sent, in 2009, authorized a surge of 30,000 boots on the ground, troops on the ground to combat the Taliban in Afghanistan for a surge and removal of the Taliban. This is the same war. This is the same Islamic extremist war that President Obama was fighting.
Yep.
Hey,
this one
Ben
who's
Rhodes.
saying he's so against
Hey, Ben
it
Rhodes.
did it before.
Why has your tune changed? Well, I know why. It's because you're not in power anymore and you're trying to manipulate. The drone campaign in Somalia and in Yemen and in Pakistan, Obama had drone strikes, 542 drone strikes, not authorized by Congress, not approved by Congress, and an estimated 3,797 people, including civilians, were killed.
Wow.
Osama bin Laden raid.
Yeah.
Right? You know, think about this for a second. Osama bin Laden, the mastermind of what? 9/11.
Yeah. 9/11.
9/11. If you told me today that there would be a Muslim mayor of New York City, the city that was attacked by Muslims.
Yeah. Yep.
20-something years later, 25 years later. And in a city where we just saw
Death to America.
Death to America being chanted, death to the United States, celebrating Hezbollah and Hamas, the Taliban, celebrating the same ideology
Insanity.
that literally bombed your city and took out thousands of lives and destroyed. President Obama ordered the killing of Osama bin Laden in 2011 by a Navy SEAL raid, boots on the ground.
Yep.
This wasn't bombing. This was boots on the ground in Pakistan that resulted in the Al-Qaeda leader taken out, a terrorist leader taken out. Without what? Ben Rhodes. Ben Rhodes, who was the national security advisor for President Obama, a Democrat.
Who is now saying you can't
Who's now saying you can't do this.
Yeah.
Libya intervention. ISIS campaign in Iraq and Syria, President Obama. Ending the President Biden did this.
Yeah.
President Bush did this. President Clinton did this. Every president since World War II, the last time Congress approved a war, every president has taken military action on the benefit of the American people and to protect innocent lives, which, coming back to the scriptures, is a godly thing to do.
Because now we're calling evil good and good evil.
So don't be manipulated.
Yeah.
This is evil. Let's go on to the next video. Yes.
It's not necessary. Voter fraud in this country is not an issue, and it never really has been.
Do you guys have an ID?
Yeah. An ID?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It restrict probably minority rights. People don't have access to getting IDs, so that would have an effect if it did pass.
Do you?
It's not necessary. Voter fraud.
I just pause it.
I know to see the whole story, though. It's so good.
It's not the whole story. I want you to listen to the whole story. But one of the reasons why I wanted to pause it real quick is because here's been the Democrats' playbook, right? And I am going after the Democrats because this has been their playbook, and you need to be aware of it. The playbook has been fight for evil, fight for against authority, right? Let lawlessness pervade and persevere. Open borders, let any immigration come in. Let's have no laws of immigration, no laws of naturalization. So let's do what? Let's not pass laws where people have to be United States citizens in order to vote.
And blame it on minorities or oppression.
It's racist to not do this.
Well, I mean, you'll see if you keep watching. It's very interesting.
You can go ahead.
Do you think it's racist to ask every American citizen to present an ID when they go to vote?
No.
No?
No.
Republicans, their current strategy is to add as many barriers as possible to voting, which is what happened in the Jim Crow era. That's where that comparison comes from. And I don't think it's like wrong to make comparisons. Now,
Do you think it's a fair comparison?
I think it's a fair comparison.
Okay. How would it affect minorities?
Oh, God, I hit the talking point.
Do you have an ID?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Do you have an ID?
Yeah.
Do you have an ID?
I have an ID.
You have an ID. Okay, all right. Do you have an ID?
I do.
So you have an ID, though?
I have an ID.
I just don't believe in paperwork. I think it would put too much strain on people who are working class who aren't able to file it.
Who wouldn't have the money for an ID?
People who are low income, that's a very straightforward issue.
Well, those same people have to have an ID to apply for government benefits.
Okay.
They said that about me? A brown person? That's pretty racist.
Do you know where the DMV is? Guys, all those people were minorities.
And they all, and they even said the idea to say that I can't get an ID or any of that I don't need an ID to vote is actually racist.
100%.
Yeah.
And then
He
you
said,
don't
"Are you
have the
saying that because I'm a
capability.
brown person?"
And you don't have the capability, the know with all,
Yeah.
or the wherewithal to have, like, of course you do.
Yeah.
Like, this is nonsense, people.
It's crazy.
It's nonsense. And so,
And the
this
people they're
crazy
saying they're
stuff-
trying to protect are actually saying it's nonsense.
Oh my gosh. And so we got to wake up.
Yeah.
You're in a propaganda war. This is manipulation of truth.
Yeah.
This is not cool. And
This is not
I mean, and by the way, the Democrats are and I'm just going to say it this way. The Democrats have specifically promoted like godless ideas in their platform.
Yeah.
Right?
And we had said if that switched,
And if that
was
switched,
Republican,
we would go
vote
at the other
way.
one. And by
Yes.
the way, when we do this, we're talking about platform ideologies
Right.
and the pervasiveness of evil that's coming into it and is taking over our government that we need to fight against. We need to fight for.
Yep.
I'm not fighting every Democrat. Some of the Democrats that I love and believe what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But they also don't want their party to be hijacked
Right.
by all of this godlessness and nonsense.
And so many people's questions are going to be, why are you talking about politics in church? Because politics have come into biblical, anti-biblical. It's waging into morality.
That's right.
So we have to talk about it because we teach the Bible.
That's right.
And when we teach the Bible and all of a sudden politics are coming against the Bible, we have to speak to it.
Jesus calls us to be salt and light. Salt, meaning we're to be a preservative of godly values in the public square, not just in our homes, not just in our little corners.
Yeah.
Like, we need to be proponents of godliness, godly values,
Yeah.
which includes justice,
Yep.
which includes law, which includes order,
Yep.
which includes all of these things. Yes, forgiveness. Yes, we want people to be able to have freedom
Right.
of protest and speech and the right to assemble. Like, we have the freedom of being able to have mosques and Jewish temples
Right.
and all of these things, but not at the expense of you coming here to convert or kill people.
Well, and what I would say is, Christians, you're still in a country that you're allowed to use your voice, so why are you being silent?
Yeah. And there's Democrats that are being propped up, like James Tallarico, who claims to be a Christian pastor. I should do an entire podcast on that dude, because everything that comes out of that dude's mouth is deceptive and is not godly. He is a wolf in sheep's clothing.
So know your word.
So you got to know your word. And so just because someone claims to be something doesn't mean they're the real thing.
Yeah.
And so, man, we need to come back to God's word. It needs to be our lens for the worldview. We need to be able to see propaganda for what it is, and we need to fight.
Take it to the word.
We need to be able to fight back against it.
Yeah.
So, man, we're so glad you joined us for the pod today.
Yeah.
It's spicy. But we live in a spicy world.
We do.
And so we can't
Salt
be
and
afraid of the fight. We are fighting the good fight of good and evil. And Jesus wants to give us freedom beyond beyond any of it.
Yeah.
And the true source of freedom that we have in our nation comes from the living God, from Jesus himself.
Amen.
And so we bless you. We thank you for watching. Man, like, subscribe, share it.
Yeah.
hit the share button. Share this with a buddy.
Yeah.
We would love to hear from you. Comment if you have questions, and we will see you,
See you next week.